Welcome to my belated 5,000 day world tour. In fact, it's so late, we're actually at 6,000 days now, so I guess it's not a good, it's a good time to say welcome to my 6,000 day world tour of ultra hardcore Minecraft. Holy smokes, where to begin? This world was started on February the 10th, 2022. It was created after the loss of my 5-month-old 2,700 day hardcore world, which originally introduced me to hardcore Minecraft in 2021. This is a live, This is a live version, unedited version of the world tour. I'm currently filming through OBS and will be releasing an edited version with clips and highlights of each moment in the world with better cinematics and voiceovers later on. Alright, let's get this rolling and let's get this started. That'll come within a few weeks after this video, and I'll be posting the link to that in this description. That's right, yes. So if you are watching this, I guess later on, then check the description because it'll the link to the edited video will probably be there and stuff like that. I'll probably have done it by then. Okay, well, to get started, I should announce that this tour will be done a little differently to some you may have seen previously, where I'll actually be starting from the current most point in this world, and we'll be taking a trip down memory lane together, rewinding the clock and ending the tour where it all began, at the spawn of the world. So most world tours, I guess, kind of start at the beginning. They show you spawn and all the beginning stuff. I kind of designed this world tour to run backwards. So I guess for those that are a more frequent audience right now, they'll be able to kind of come along memory lane together, and they'll be able to find that moment where they kind of first started watching this stream and all that sort of stuff as well. Alright, well, first things first, this is Pioneer Peaks, our build for April 2023. A little backstory to the way I've been handling my content recently. I try to give myself around a month or so to finish each build that you'll see in this world tour. Smaller builds are squeezed in between larger ones, and farms are usually built or designed as they are needed in the world. So if we're building a bigger build and we need a stone farm, for example, we'll try and sneak in a stream or two and build a stone farm and then keep going with the build from there. Pioneer Peaks is an Aztec themed build which was brainstormed live by myself in chat. This build will end up housing 345 named armor stands, which was the amount of memberships that we had in our first month here on YouTube. Lots of our founding members were already supporters on Facebook, where I previously live streamed before I handed in my partnership in 2023 and moved here on YouTube full time. So I haven't regretted a day since. It's been absolutely fantastic. We're currently only a couple of days into this build, so about 7 or 8 hours into this build, kind of still in that stage where we're marking things out using netherrack. I like to use netherrack to mark my builds out where I can. It's a nice insta-mineable block, and it kind of stands out. So all the netherrack that you see will end up going, as it just, it kind of helps me just kind of mark the lines out, the lay of the land, if you will. Get things all ready and sorted, and it gets that vision. You know, I've got a vision in my head when I build these types of builds. So not a huge amount to show here right now. Let's move to our first stop, and that's going to be Commemorative Caverns. See if I can turn that. That's all up. All right, cool, sweet. I like to travel above the nether roof as it makes for easier travel between longer destinations. This is our recently built gold farm, but we'll come back and touch on this gold farm a little bit later on. There it is as it loads in right there. So we just finished building this in the last couple of weeks or so. Well, not really finished it. It's got some minor touches, but I will, yeah, like I said, I will come back and touch on this a little bit later on in the world tour. We've got a time scheduled for that. As you can see, I do like to decorate my nether portals. They're themed to each build. I'll be showing you each portal as we come across each build during the tour. And here we are at Commemorative Caverns, which some of you guys may know as the Shrine Hall. I kind of commonly refer to it as Shrine Hall. Commemorative Caverns is an Egyptian-themed build which currently holds a ton of user-redeemed shrines. Shrines are a pretty simple system. You accumulate channel points by interacting hourly in stream, and those points to redeem upgrades and develop your shrine further. I'll show you guys a completed, or actually a couple of completed shrines. This is actually Moderator Jordan and Justin's completed shrines. For example, you can see they're fully upgraded and looking absolutely amazing. Viewers can choose almost any block to stand on and hold in their shrine, and this can create a super unique look when complete. So I guess the further you go down this hall, you see some people that have kind of maybe only just joined us or only just redeemed their shrine for the first time. So that's pretty cool as well. But I've designed this in a way that it can kind of be tileable. I'll tell you a little bit about that design. So we've got 2 levels in Commemorative Caverns, A through to M on floor 1. So you see those hallways there. They're a 5x5 hallway. So that's floor 1, A through to M. And we've got N through to Z on floor 2. So each of those hallways are kind of above that as well. As I said, this is a fairly recent build. I think we built this in March. So we are still tying up some finishing touches like the gold blocks for the lettering and stuff like that. Quite demanding to put gold blocks on all the lettering. But it's going to look good, so it's worth it, you know. This place has taken about 3 or 4 weeks to design and build. I had to be super conscious of the layout, obviously, as not to limit the shrine numbers in the future. Shrines will forever be able to redeemed as long as this world is alive, and we actually... I've lost it. As long as this world is alive, and we actually set aside 1 day a week to shrines and upgrades, and we call that Shrine Sundays. So on Shrine Sundays, we come through here and basically upgrade everyone's shrines. Cheney's sitting on a conduit, which is pretty cool. 5 different armor stands that you can choose from. I've got a whole guide to kind of guide us through, like a little written PowerPoint. The viewers can choose a little, The viewers can choose a little armor stand pose that they can redeem in their shrine, and they have a lot of fun with that. Everyone is pretty happy with the way the system works. It's a super cool build, and it's actually underneath our first ever base in this world. But we won't show you that just yet because it's time to visit the heart of the world. We'll come back to our first ever base shortly. Let me just sleep through so we can come back out in the daytime in the overworld. I'll carry that bed on me today, hey? Alrighty. Something that I'm looking at doing later on in this world is linking the nether portals by a grid of coloured carpets on the roof. Basically a coloured highway so I could never get lost when travelling. I've seen ice boat highways made lots before, and understandably so, because they're a very fast travel method. But they're kind of labour intensive to make in order to ensure that they are both spawn proof and to prevent falling off when travelling. Piston bolt redstone has been excluded for the same reason as well. It's pretty labor intensive to get them running, and we travel at times. We travel quite a few thousand blocks in the nether to get to each destination. So it's quite a lot to build. Maybe on a server of a sort, or if we were regularly traveling back and forth with a lot of materials, we would consider doing something like that. But for now, we just kind of fly from point A to point B. So here we are at the heart of the world, and this is actually a natural cave that we found. I've heard the term heart of the world used in other worlds before, so I thought I would go one step further and actually create the heart of the world in a physical form. This heart is made mostly of copper and terracotta. In the floor leading out of the nether portals for most of my completed builds, I have mimicked this same heartbeat that you see through the top here to allow for a little bit of lore or depth to the world. We also have an item sorter, which is made of this little shulker box unloader on the front end here. And as items go through the item sorter, they are packed back into shulker boxes and stored in the barrels in the front for easy picking. It's a really cool system that we kind of designed ourselves, and I don't know, I kind of like it. It's a pretty simple little setup. Basically, it's just a little item sorter that takes items out and then loads them into a little compact shulker loader that we've got down below there. Yeah, and it does pretty well. I mean, it does what we want from it, and for the most part, I use it to process my bulk items. Anything that I've got lots of, I'll probably put that back wrong. Netherrack, diorite, tough, deep slate, that sort of stuff. We process that through here. This is only just recently been set up. Probably going to have, what do we got? Honeycomb, a lot of honeycomb, and stuff like that as well. It's kind of only recently been set up, so it's still filling its initial shulker boxes, but it's a really cool build. Yeah, and it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of different. I mean, you don't really see them like this too often. The little guy on top is called Boop. I'll tell you about Boop really quick. Let me just get a zoom in on him. This little guy is called Boop, and it's an ally. If you guys haven't seen allies, they were recently introduced. And he actually catches the empty shulker boxes on the way through, as shulker boxes cannot be item sorted, so we have to use an ally for this process. The shulker boxes that Boop catches drop down into the loading system through here. So they drop down through the loading system like that. So it's pretty much a closed loop system, and this whole system contains almost 1,000 shulker boxes in just the item sorter portions alone. So just through here, you'll see almost 1,000 shulker boxes. They're all empty. They're yet to be kind of filled up. But yeah, obviously I do have a shulker farm, which I'll show you guys later on in the tour as well, to give us these shulker boxes, or such big portions of shulker boxes. The leftover items currently spill into double chests, but they will be connected into a system. So this is a double chest that they're kind of just spilling into right now. But they will be connected into a system that brings them over to this little guy over here. This is our multi-item sorter. Kind of like a little multi-item sorter wall almost, I guess. This has got the ability to sort and store multiple items in each chest. It's a pretty compact system. We've only just got this multi-sorter built. So you'll notice I do have overflow here. And then basically we just take the overflow items, find the appropriate chests, like say random rares for example, and we put that in there, and now that will always sort out gold ingots. So we only have to do that once for each item along the line. Cooked cod, for example, we go to food stuff and we put it in there, and now cooked cod will always go to that spot. So that's a really cool way to do it. And then eventually you can just kind of cut down on your overflow. Any items in here that are unstackable, I'm planning to have reprocessed through. We've actually got the allies here for a little ally sorter to take out anything like enchanted books or anything of kind of high value that cannot stack. Lower value stuff like gold swords and random bits and pieces, you know, kind of junky stuff, will go through into a trash system that will require like manual approval that there's nothing important there, and then we can kind of dump that at the end. So that's this. What you see here is the rest of my items from this world. We kind of brought them over here. We've still got a fair bit to bring over from our last base, which is actually coming up in the tour as well. As for decorations, I flooded the floor to prevent slime spawning, and I mossed the cave around to give it a little bit of a natural feel as well. Just kind of ties everything in on how it's going. Bit of moss here and there, just kind of planted through. We do have a chunk loader, which you'll actually see above there in this area, and both the item sorter and the multi-item sorter are actually contained within the 3x3 chunk borders, so that we can actually sort items wherever we are in the world at any given time. Ideally, the chunk loader should be connected to this sorter, so that it can turn off whenever the sorter is off. But, 100 things to do, and, well, you get the idea, right? We never have the time to do it all. Speaking of the chunk loader, the heart of the world is strategically placed outside of those loaded chunks as well. So the loaded chunks wall ends right here, and the heart of the world is outside that, so we don't tick that in when we are chunk loading. I need to grab some food. We don't tick that in when we are chunk loading, which is, I guess, kind of good for us as well. I like to use bread in case you haven't heard, or if you don't know. I use bread as food purely for the memes, because this is ultra hardcore, and in ultra hardcore, when you take damage, your health doesn't naturally regenerate your hunger doesn't naturally regenerate your health. So it actually really doesn't matter what you eat in ultra hardcore. You really don't even go through that much food, because most of your saturation in normal gameplay is used like healing yourself up. So because that doesn't happen in ultra hardcore, we've got to use health potions or beacons nearby. Then our saturation stays pretty full for quite a long time. I do plan on making an entry or exit where the tough is here on this wall somewhere, right over here. So I don't have to fly up and out of the cave, and more so actually down and into the cave when I come down here, and risk popping a totem if I hit something at, I guess, that terminal velocity speed. Let me just get this guy. Did I get him? There we go. All right, sweet. I feel a lot safer already. Great. Excellent. Yeah, so I do want to make a tunnel or a cave that kind of arches up to that portal. And the reason we've got the portal to come and go so far away is just so it doesn't link with our chunk loader, because we want that working properly as well. I'll show you inside the heart of the world. The back hasn't been fully closed up yet. We're kind of just running it to make sure that it doesn't freeze up or lock up and the pulse doesn't stop at any given time. But yeah, it does pretty well. We use redstone and repeaters, and the reason why we use redstone and repeaters for all of this is so that we get appropriate timing. The heartbeat itself is 13 ticks, which is this heartbeat here. 13 ticks, and that actually, the same 13 ticks is at every heartbeat in the world that you'll see coming out of the nether portals to each build. Yeah, 13 ticks at all of the other heartbeats as well. So it's kind of a little bit of, ties in a little bit of lore, I guess, at some level. So pretty cool stuff. While we fly to the next location, I'll speak a little bit more about totems in this world, because speaking of totems and totem popping, I probably want to chat to you guys about totems and how we get them and that sort of stuff in this world as well. Basically, the totems I use in this world are harvested from woodland mansions only, with no raid farms or stacking raid farms to produce bulk totems. I'm currently holding totem number 10, and my average is about one totem every couple of 100 hours or so, and I'll include some clips in post-production of popped totems somewhere about here. The next location on the list will be our copper farm. I went the wrong way, this way. Our copper farm and the double witch hut perimeter. This is a really cool location. It took me about 4 days solid of flying around without chunk base or any seed help to locate my first ever double witch hut. On that topic, the seed will be revealed only when I lose this world. It was a random assortment of numbers thrown into chat on February the 10th when I started this world, and I added 2 of my own numbers to the end, and we just ran whatever world that created at the time. So chat basically threw in a bunch of numbers, and I added a couple of numbers on the end, and we just ran it, and it was all pretty cool. This is the portal for our double witch hut and copper farm perimeter. This is actually one of 2 perimeters in this world, which I'll be showing you in a minute, and I'll come back through and explain this feature, this machine, when we finish up at the farm here. So let's go through. Alrighty, I'm going to take the opportunity to sleep through here, so we can show you guys this perimeter in the daytime. There we go. Alright, so this is actually our double witch hut perimeter. You can see the 2 boxes on the outsides there as well, kind of in the staring at each other. They are exactly, I think, 10 chunks apart, 8 chunks apart, something like that. They're exactly 8 chunks apart, which puts them both in mob spawn distance at the same time. And then we've got a center platform, which you can see over there, made entirely of glass, where we go and stand and collect the witches that are spawning in these witch hut farms. So that's pretty cool as well. It started as a double witch hut perimeter. And we've added this copper farm fairly recently for another source of EXP in the world. Obviously, we've got a huge lava lake over to the side here, over the left, for us to finish clearing out one day, if we're ever bored, which probably won't happen because we've already got builds scheduled for the next 3 months. So we've got builds happening everywhere. A ton of floating blocks which occurred because I used the classic TNT flying machines, which you'll see kind of parked up over there. They're actually still active, which is a little bit concerning, but you know, I guess, you know, a little bit worrying, but you know, they're all right if no one touches them, I guess. But yeah, they are still active. If we ever wanted to send them back, they would. I'll have to break them down at some point in the future. As you can hear when we get close, right now we've got a couple of hundred drowned in this chamber. We can easily kickstart the farm by going down like this and into this location here, and basically we grab this sword. Now it's just got mending and looting on it. All right, mending and looting, that's it. And we stand right here, and really easily we basically stand right here, and as we swipe at the armor stand, the reinforcement zombies will actually spawn in and chase us through the middle. And they kind of just develops exponentially over time. It doesn't ever really stall out with using a diamond sword. It's pretty important to use a diamond sword. If we use a netherite sword for kind of culling them, that kind of cuts the numbers down pretty quickly. So I guess as you see, as I do that, we get quite a few zombies spawning in. At the moment, like I said before, at the moment we've only got a couple of hundred there. They don't despawn because they're all holding items. And after 5 or 10 minutes, we can expect 1,000 or 2,000 zombies here. And they kind of walk into that chamber and convert into drowned. And if you don't know, drowns drop copper. So this is actually our copper farm. Underneath we've got an item sorter. I can probably pack that away now. Underneath we've got an item sorter. There we go. So underneath we've got an item sorter. And that just pulls out just the copper. I don't really want anything else from this. I've got a couple of bays there just in case, you know, the front hopper gets full or has a cooldown. But it pulls out quite a handsome amount of copper, which is pretty good for most of the things we need in this world. So that does pretty well, and then everything else is just burned in the lava. We take our copper from this farm periodically, and it serves us pretty well. This zombie was found during the building process. He's actually a zombie in full diamond armor, which is pretty cool. These guys don't spawn in very often at all. Trying to get under there we go. They don't spawn in very often at all, so when you do find them, try and name tag them and keep them in your world, because it's you know, pretty special moment to find him kind of just waltzing through. We just broke the glass and had him everywhere. I'll throw up some screenshots for you guys on the farm with 400 or 500 zombies around here. It looks absolutely crazy. I've actually installed something I didn't touch on. I actually installed an EXP plugin that doesn't do anything in regards, it doesn't give us more EXP, but this farm in particular actually drops more EXP for us than what the player can pick up, like per second per se. So I actually installed a plugin that combines the EXP orbs into larger orbs, so the player is able to pick up all the EXP that the farm produces. I think it's a pretty, it's not really a game-breaking plugin, because, you know, if I'm producing the EXP, I should be able to pick it up. Because otherwise, basically every 5 minutes, you get EXP despawning, and yeah, you lose out on, you know, some good EXP. So rather than lose out on the EXP, all the smaller orbs turn into larger orbs. Yeah, like they combine into larger orbs, and they're picked up by me from there, and heal up all my armor and bits and pieces like that. So really cool. The double witch hut farm, which I probably should go back and tell you guys about. Let me fly up here real quick. So the double witch hut farm is why we originally built this. So we found 2 witch huts within a spawning perimeter of each other, and if I fly upwards like this, we'll actually despawn all of the zombies or drowns that are not holding an item, and thus resetting our mob cap. And now the witch huts should actually start spawning, which, if you have a look, you'll see the witches in there with the zoglins as well. The zoglins push the witches off the edge and down below. I can explain a little bit further on how that actually works in a minute. But yeah, the double witch hut farm was actually nerfed recently, because the zoglins no longer really push these witches off at the faster rate anymore. So we have talked about building sweeping flying machines here instead to improve the rates again. Sweeping flying machines would be a pretty good way to increase the rates and kind of restore what we once had here. But yeah, zoglins, the witches spawn in, zoglins push them off the edge. Basically how this works is, yeah, they fall down into water with magma blocks underneath it. The magma blocks actually cause a reaction with the witches to consume a fire resistance potion, and once they go through and touch that portal, they're transported into the nether component, which is actually a lava portal, or a lava flow. Takes them up vertically and works on their cooldown time. I'll show you guys that when we are leaving. Ideally, we would have built an item sorter here as well, but it's just another part of this world. I guess that is yet to be completed. 100 million projects. And I'll touch on why we've got a lot of uncompleted projects in just a minute. Something I didn't mention was the diamond zombie. I plan on moving him. That one in particular. The reason why well, he's out already. He's over there. There he is. The reason why I actually captured him is because I plan on moving him over to our mob museum, which you'll see our mob museum, I guess the start of our mob museum in the world tour shortly as well. Something that is also out here is the location of a really large fossil that I found. We were doing some wither fighting, fighting the wither in these little tunnels through here. And actually right here, you'll see the cobbled deep slate that I've replaced. I was actually standing right here when we were doing a little bit of a TNT chat with a viewer asking about TNT behavior mechanics. And I revealed a bone of the fossil. The fossil's since been moved, and the location for that is actually our next stop on the tour, which is Atlantis. And that's actually, Atlantis is probably the favorite for a lot of people in this world, the favorite build, because it is actually a really nice build. So we're heading out to Atlantis now. Entering the nether, you can see the last few witches. If I turn on hitboxes here, the last few witches are floating up through the lava. This contraption is pretty special, one that I haven't really seen made before. Basically, it just pushes the witches into the lava, and as most entities do, they float upwards and into the top portal, which gives them the 15-second cooldown time that entities need out of one portal before they can go back into a portal. So that's why we get them taking fire resistance potions in the overworld, so that they're actually, they don't just die as soon as they're thrown into the lava. Those fire resistance potions last for 3 minutes, and they do pretty well at keeping the witches safe from harm. And then just like that, you see that one just fall through the portal there and go back through the overworld. So it's a pretty cool little setup, pretty cool contraption. As I said, it's one that we kind of designed ourselves. I haven't really seen that type of contraption being made before. Probably not the best efficiency wise, but it does the job, and pretty happy, pretty proud of that. While we fly over to Atlantis, it's probably a good time to mention that I don't AFK in this world. So that's why I was talking about why I've got a lot of projects that are kind of half finished or are not completely finished. I don't AFK in this world at all. So I don't spend any time. I don't leave the world up overnight. I don't leave the world up offline or anything like that. We'll come back to this little portal shortly. I don't AFK in the world, and until super recently, I don't actually play in the world offline at all, until basically the last maybe even couple of weeks. I started playing offline in the world recently to get things like the shrines ready for Shrine Sundays. It's a pretty big day for us. It's 4 or 5 hours of running around, and if I don't do some level of preparation, it's just absolute mayhem. So most of my offline players of a couple of weeks ago is just getting shrines ready, or restoring, like making some rockets, getting a pair of wings ready, maybe healing my tools if I can, just so that when I'm online and on stream, I don't do those mundane tasks all the time, because of the viewers that rock up the Sunday to Thursday that I do stream. I don't really want to be showing them all the same thing all the time, just healing up tools all the time. So that's a thing. So this is Atlantis. As you can see, we've decorated the portal pretty nicely at Atlantis. This is a boat from a dolphin that swam through the portal, and we tried to rescue it, but it didn't get into the boat, and pretty rough time with that. We lost the dolphin, so we made a sign of me yelling at the dolphin, get in the boat, but it didn't. So his loss. Let's go through to Atlantis. Alrighty, so this is Atlantis. Welcome to an underwater build. The main feature of Atlantis is our large watching eye, which you can see right at the top there. It kind of follows you wherever you go, which is a pretty cool effect with slime and perspective and frog lights behind there as well. It does pretty cool. The closer you go up to it, it kind of looks like it's looking down on you, and then when you go up to the top, it kind of looks like it's looking up at you as well. So that's a really interesting perspective-based build, and I don't know, I kind of like it. It's a really good way to kind of come into the area with an eye that kind of looks like that it's looking at you. Hello, how are you? There we go. All right, sweet. So this is Atlantis, this underwater museum. I built mostly during my 24-hour stream in October last year. Got a couple of conduits out the front to give us night vision and respiration effects, which is fantastic. But the main attraction of Atlantis is our fossil. This guy right here. So we moved this fossil by taking a bunch of screenshots and images from where it was that I just showed you at the Witch Hut perimeter. And yeah, we moved it out here. The chains were diamond, deep sea diamonds, and we just replaced them with chains, probably as you would in a museum. You'd see that with chains kind of in the area instead of the bones. Rather than rebuild it completely, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of build it how we found it, with the bones missing that were missing when we found it as well. So that's pretty cool as well. But the fossil, chat, I've got to talk to you guys about the fossil, because for those that may have heard recently, I've got some drowns on me. What are these guys doing? Get rid of, there we go. And I fell short. There we go. All right, sweet. For those that may have heard recently of the sniffer fossil theory, that was actually my most viral video that I posted just before the 2022 mob vote, stating that the pixels on this fossil actually lined up with the pre-released images of the sniffers pixels, which they mentioned the release version was a smaller version of a previous ancestor in the game. So I kind of put out the theory that the previous ancestor was this one, being, you know, a much larger variant of what we now know as the sniffer, because these fossils, you can find them in the game naturally, which is super intriguing to a little bit of Minecraft lore. Yeah, potentially being this size, just this huge thing. We've also got mementos around the walls that have particular timestamps of this world where I could get them. So some of them don't have timestamps there, and the reason why is because the timestamp plugin was made at around 230 hours in game. Our mementos basically start from there, from here. I might make a video about all of these mementos and what they are and all the moments that they kind of represent throughout the world, I guess, because so many moments, and I'm sure I've got them all clipped or on a video somewhere. Really easy to find, because I've got that world age that you'll see at the bottom of my screen there. The world age there, it kind of makes these moments really, really cool to go back and find super easy, because I can just go back until that clock lines up. So that's a super cool system. It stops when I pause the world, or whenever I, have a menu open, it stops. It doesn't keep tracking. So it's a really, really cool little in-game plugin there that I had specifically made, so I don't have to put on-screen timers and get it wrong and all that sort of stuff as well. So really cool. But yeah, mementos go around the side with just particular moments of our world. One door closes, another one opens. That's the transition to YouTube, Facebook and YouTube. Blue door, red door. Yeah, there's just heaps of really cool moments that I'm super happy to share with you guys. But we've actually got more below Atlantis to share, and this is the beginning of our mob museum. The reason why we started collecting mobs so randomly was October the 31st, which was Halloween. Mobs in Java Edition have a small chance to spawn in with a jack-o'-lantern head on them. So chat and I spent a huge portion of the streams around that time collecting these mobs, as they only spawn in once per year. So that kind of makes them pretty rare. We did try and get the variants of mobs like left-handed, right-handed, trident wielding. There's a trident wielding drowned, a normal drowned, a baby drowned, and all that sort of stuff as well. You'll see we've got a right-handed wither skeleton and a left-handed wither skeleton. Zombie pigmen, I think they're called. Zombie pigmen. They recently changed it and it threw me for a curveball. Some husks. A right-handed skeleton, which is kind of, normal. 95% chance to spawn in with a bow in their right hand. And, 5% chance to spawn with a left-handed bow. But unfortunately, we lost Lefty because I may or may not have forgotten to put water in the bottom of the tunnel when we transported him through. That was pretty sad actually, because Halloween was over and didn't have any more chances to get another one, so we just kind of had to wear it. Next year, well, this year, I hope that the world's still going and we can get a left-handed skeleton then. Classic zombies. So we'll try and get some more mobs going this year, but yeah, I would like to actually extend this area downwards and actually start tiling mobs like kind of vertically down. Somewhat the same kind of look that you see up above there. Try and mirror that all the way down there as well. Ideally, the build will continue to go downwards into the ground in layers, and it'd be great if we could get one of every mob eventually in this world. But I know that'll take a long time, especially since I like getting the rarer variant mobs as well, and not necessarily just the, a skeleton with a jack-o'-lantern, for example, is a rarer variant rather than just getting a skeleton. We get one with a jack-o'-lantern head, left-handed, right-handed, and then with and without as well. So it's going to be quite a few mobs in this museum eventually. So, but yeah, they only spawn in once a year. So those ones with jack-o'-lanterns, and only on Java Edition. They don't do any. They don't spawn in on Bedrock like that. Alrighty, next on the list is going to be Memory Meadows. I think it's a pretty good time to introduce Memory Meadows to you all. So let's head on over to Memory Meadows. Wait, I fell out. Oh, actually, let me, hold on, while we're out here, what about how about I actually fly around Atlantis and show you guys Atlantis real quick. So Atlantis, yeah, it's a pretty big build on the outside for those that actually didn't see the outside. It's a pretty big build. I'll put some random characters on the outside just made of copper. Some random kind of Roman, we tried to go for like a real Roman sort of Greek feel through here as well. And with the conduits out the front, the hanging lanterns and all the rest of the bits and pieces. My favorite moment in this build is when the sunlight is directly above, because I'm using complementary reimagined shaders. The light shafts, which actually is about to happen now. The light shafts actually come over the skeleton, and it looks really quite amazing as that moment happens in the... is it going the right way? Which way is it going? The sun might be setting, actually. Let me check that. Oh, no, I think we're good. I don't know. Which way is the sun setting? Let me have a look. What are you doing? I think the sun's setting. Yeah, the sun is setting, so it's actually, we missed the moment by that much. But that's all right. So let's head out to Memory Meadows. We'll go out there. But yeah, Atlantis, pretty cool build. Again, that took us about 3 weeks to do, because I did do it during a 24-hour live stream. So that, the 24 hours of live time did give me quite a good head start into that build. So, but yeah, again, about 3 or 4 weeks to complete as well. So this is the portal for Memory Meadows. I guess, as you can see, you've already seen it a few times here. I do like to decorate my portals kind of themed on what they are in that particular spot. So let's head into Memory Meadows, and that's a little sample of what you're about to see. Memory Meadows is a rolling hilltop somewhat near spawn that I decided to place a crafting table and a lantern for every hour in this world. Let me fly on top of this portal and we can show you around a little bit like this. Show you guys around. So this is Memory Meadows. There's one crafting table and one lantern for every hour in this world, and it looks pretty cool at nighttime. But basically they're placed in rows of 50. So that is hour 1 to 50 is right down there, and then we kind of go from there. Hours 1 to 50, and they're in lots of 50 rows from there. 851 to 900, 901 to 950, and so on and so forth. And actually, I think I need to update it. We're at 1400. Yeah, just under, well, what's that? 1420. So we're about 50 hours behind. So I'll need to add that in. I'll do that sometime this week. Come back and add that in. Pretty cool little setup. But yeah, it looks absolutely phenomenal at nighttime. Looks really cool. Kind of lights up the valley. But yeah, Memory Meadows, it's a pretty interesting little place. I don't know how long I'll keep going with this for. Like, I think I'll just keep going for as long as I have this world. Crafting tables and lanterns are pretty cheap, so, you know, I'm not really fussed about the cost of it. And I'm pretty interested to see how long it kind of, you know, just keeps going over the land for. It should be pretty interesting to see how far we can go with that. So yeah, a couple of rows behind on Memory Meadows, but I'll have to stop by during this week to update that. Not really sure why I decided on crafting tables and lanterns. Nighttime, it looks really nice, and it's pretty cheap and easy way to visualize the hours spent in the world at any given time. All right, let's go back into the Nether and off to the next location. Because the next location is going to be past the gold farm, I think we can come back now and show you guys the gold farm. So this is our gold farm. It's a pretty basic setup, nothing too crazy. Basically just works off piglin aggression. So we just start that aggression just like that pretty easily. There's 2 rows of piglins in the carts there, which we could probably have in like kind of in a still position if we ever wanted to. There we go. Once he aggroes on me, then it is all running, and that's all good. But yeah, pretty basic setup. It works on aggression tactics and gives us a pretty cool amount of EXP and a decent rate of gold as well, as long as I hold my looting sword in my hand. You see them all kind of running off there and falling down the full chamber into the bottom. So it gives us a pretty good rate of gold. The zombie piglins try to get to the player and they fall down, and that provides EXP and some good loot, because they die during the pathfinding towards the player while being aggressive, and that's what gives us that extra gold and extra EXP, rather than just have them fall off with turtle eggs or anything like that. We use player aggression, and then that way, yeah, that way we get a bit extra. We get the EXP and we get the gold ingots as well, which actually add up pretty quickly. A hopper minecart picks up all of the loot. So from here, you'll see we've got a hopper minecart, which I probably forgot to start, but that's not a bad thing. We can start that up from here. So a hopper minecart goes along and picks up all of the loot. There it goes. Picks up all of the loot and drops it into this little chamber here. We've got a couple of hopper minecarts in the gravel here, and that pulls the items out pretty quickly. This unloads and sends the cart off pretty much instantly. I think it's 2 seconds or 1 second turnaround time, and all of the items, which you'll see in a moment. So that's how quickly it unloads. Actually, very, very quickly. All of the items go through into these hoppers and into these droppers, and actually get shot into the overworld. and I can show you that portion of the build now. So I've actually got a an overworld or collection chamber point, which is just over here. Alrighty, so here we go. This is our collection chamber or collection point. You can see the gold falling through the webs from there, and then it kind of goes through the sorter. I've only just emptied it out, so that was only just from that little session just now. But it does pretty well. You know, if we ever want to do a little bit of testing on this to make sure it's all working, basically you can just throw an item into the portal. Not like that. Let me go like this. You can throw an item into the portal, and that'll actually kickstart the nether side of it. Kind of, you know, that's kind of how chunk loaders work, where you throw an item through, and then the other dimension is loaded for 15 seconds. That'll stop after 15 seconds. So if we throw another firework through, it'll keep it going. Make sure those droppers are completely empty. The cobweb is there to bundle the items up. To make sure that we're picking up full stacks if possible in our hoppers down below as well. So that actually will fall through just like that. And the at the moment the rotten flesh and the gold swords just kind of despawn, but I do want to put a netherrack fire there or a cactus or something. Yeah, and then we get the gold coming through from there, kind of left over. So that's pretty cool as well. I'm thinking about having a actual return setup on that gold system and have it come back through that portal because I know we're able to do it. I'm thinking about having actually a dropper in the overworld that throws the gold back out this side and then just collects that up, so we don't have to go into the overworld and go get our gold every time. And that may be a system that I implement pretty soon. Pretty simple to do, just with water currents and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you can see in a minute as we fly up through here, you'll see our EXP as we drop down through here. You'll see we get yeah, quite a bit of EXP there. Doesn't look like a lot because I got that EXP plug-in again, but it's actually quite a lot of EXP and gives us a good amount of levels pretty quickly whenever we want it. Repairs all our tools and stuff. But yeah, we can sit there for 5 minutes and get 5 minutes worth of EXP at a time from that, and yeah, it gives us plenty of EXP actually, so more than we could ever need. The main area of our world is our second perimeter. That is this one here. This is District 21. We'll come back to District 21 shortly because I'm going to show you guys our previous base before the heart of the world. And that's actually Neon Hollows. Or Pog City. Kind of goes by a few names. I'm well known for using a lot of rockets in Minecraft. I only use the Flight Duration 1 rockets because it's the best for gunpowder and paper. So, and it's also the least deadly. So, well known for using a lot of rockets. I think now we're at, statistics-wise, we are at up over, let me have a look, times used, 123,000 rockets used, which is actually phenomenal. It works out to be like 1,000 a week or so. I don't know, something huge like that. So, yeah, 123,000 rockets, 1,000 a day, I think it is. I don't know, something like that. Someone worked it out once, and it was quite a lot. If you work out how many rockets I use, put it in the chat below. I guess after the stream ends or whatnot, and or even live if you wanted to work it out. 123,000 rockets over 1,400 hours. Neon Hollows is a cyber futuristic themed ancient city. This was our first city found when 1.19 dropped, and we turned it into our main base pretty quickly as a statement to the Warden's defeat and our courage in Minecraft. So we've got some, basically it was built to be like a little plaza or a little shopping district. You can see the heartbeat of the world. That's 13 ticks. That's going through every 13 ticks. So it's kind of where that lore ties in from the heartbeat that I was showing you guys earlier. Doug is just a little, I think it stands for something, an acronym, down under something. I don't know. There was a name for it. I'm sure it's probably in here somewhere. It's a minecart store with a zombie cart for 21. 21 is a pretty frequent number in this stream. We have actually a button 21 that we refer to pretty often. It's 21. That's my daughter saying 21 in a funny voice. I don't know. So yeah, 21 is kind of the number. Like if someone says, how many times have you done this? I just say 21. And it's kind of just like an ever going little joke. Missing a copper rod there, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what happened with that. It looks like a sword now. This is our sushi shop. A little bit of a PG joke in there. PG, MA, I don't know, joke in there. I try and keep things pretty much PG in my streams. I don't really swear or anything like that. But there's the sign, I guess, is it's a sushi shop. And yeah, one of the letters on the sushi shop is I'm gonna have to change that. It kind of goes out every so often. So pretty interesting, just like a noodle bar or sushi store. This is Finlay the Second. Don't ask about Finlay the First. He died. But well, there you go. I told you anyway. Finlay the First died. Finlay the Second, a glow squid in a little aquarium. Nothing spawns in ancient cities, so we had to bring him down here. It was a real mission to bring a squid down into an ancient city. It sounds easy to do, but it really was not easy to do. It took me hours to do that, and 0 out of 10 would not do that again. This is our gas. It's a gas garage. Basically, we've got some little scooters in here. Little taps and bits and pieces. But also about Gas Garage, it actually is home to Poopy Kevin. Poopy Kevin wearing poopy pants. Poopy Kevin was a guy that came in one time. I think it was while I was building it. And he just came into chat and just told me where to go. And I thought it was so rude that I thought we'd get a little bit of a laugh out of it. And so I immortalized Poopy Kevin wearing poopy pants by doing that. I guess if you see this, please don't use it as an incentive to come into my chat and be poopy, because Poopy Kevin did get the boot from the stream. However, we kind of laughed about it in chat. It's just the easiest way to deal with trolls. Troll them back. It's just a lot easier. A little diner on the corner, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to use a lot of vibrant colors in here as well. And we've got a little bar overlooking Cogs Mechanical Workshop. Cogs Mechanical is run by Mr. Cogs, or Mr. Cog. Mr. Cog, that's his name. Mr. Cog, he's kind of just watching the production line at the moment as they make a somewhat of a machine with a beacon for a heart there, which is pretty cool. And then we've also got the parts that you can buy secondhand. Model T21 with the so that's a 21 joke coming through again. Everything just costs 21 in here. We've got a wheel, a spare arm, a power core, a Model T21. So and this Model T21 is missing a wheel. So I don't know what happened with that, but we've got a few kind of just like a machine factory going on, which is pretty cool. And that's also our way to get into the heartbeat of Pog City. This little location here. So when we're building it and all that sort of stuff. That's actually bedrock. Underneath that one right there is actually bedrock, and we cannot go any lower in the world. So cool little hidden entrance area under Cogs Mechanical. The other store is called the Back Alley. This is our nightclub, I guess. The back alley, I've put some glass on the front, so the alleys, we're actually, eventually we're going to stock that full of alleys, which I do still want to do, but we just haven't got around to it yet. And the door is in the side here. No Zuchiis allowed. You know, that's a Simpsons reference with the no homers allowed, but you know, like one homer can go in. Anyway. Some bouncers. I think one of them's called Jacob. Yes, that's Jacob. Used to be I guess he was just a viewer at the time. I don't know if Jacob's still around, but yeah, Jacob was just in stream at the time. He said, "Can you name one after me?" So I said, "All right, sure." I don't do name tagging after viewers that often, but he just asked really nicely and it was really well timed. So I thought, yeah, why not? But yeah, DJ, your puppy. Where is he? DJ, your puppy. Where are you? Here you are. DJ, your puppy. So a funny reason why this is actually called your puppy is basically my donation filter takes out any bad words and replaces them with nice words. Spinning around, I don't know why your puppy's doing that. Takes out bad words and replaces them with nice words. Our initial alleys we had when we were naming them, I asked chat, I said, what planets do you want to name them? And I think it was Dora Shirley actually named your puppy because she said she wanted to name one Uranus, as in the planet, and when she donated that through, it replaced the last 4 letters with puppy, and so we named it your puppy because that's pretty funny. We've also got, there we go, so DJ your puppy's playing his mix, so that's pretty cool. If we ever want to breed allays, that's DJ your puppy is kind of like the daddy of the allays in this world, so we just go to him and go to that one and breed all the allays from them. So that's pretty cool. I'll show you the web store. This is our internet cafe with armor stands. These are actually armor stands and helmets. So if you look really closely, it's a black leather helmet facing to the left, and then there's an armor stand. Oh, the sound of that iron golem made me so nervous. The armor stand, there's 2 armor stands there, one facing that way and one facing that way, and one of them has a black leather cap on. So but yeah, it's kind of a little internet cafe with a little mouse and a keyboard, which is also another armor stand with an iron helmet, and the armor stand is facing that way with a concrete block pushed into it. To set the height properly on all of these, we used snow. So underneath here you would probably see, if I get underneath here, you'll probably see snow or pressure plates or, you know, that sort of stuff to set the height properly on those armor stands, to get it just so we just have the, you know, that 1 pixel poking through. So really really cool little setup there, little internet cafe web it's called. This is the lab. So the lab is another kind of, I guess, futuristic build in our little plaza here. We actually got a creeper. It is not a charged creeper. Chat wants me to replace that with a charged creeper at some point in my world, which I would probably like to do, but it's pretty deadly playing around with charged creepers, so maybe not right now, but maybe in the future. Alrighty, and then from there, yeah, you see we've got some skulk. That the lab, we've got some laser beams, and some yeah, just random amethyst. A lot of amethyst in here, those purple colors and stuff, just because it kind of looks nice. Yeah, and that actually, so the upside down creeper is basically what powers this area. If you look, it's got the core, and then the lines going out of that, and you'll see those lines kind of in a couple of places around this area. But you can flip a creeper or any mob upside down by name tagging it Dinnerbone, and that's actually in soul sand water, so it doesn't drown, because you cannot drown in soul sand or magma water. So that's the lab, and then last but not least, we've got the aqua store. My background is in aquatic fish keeping, so I kind of had to build a you know, an aqua store to reference that. Aquatic fish keeping and corals and coral fragging and stuff like that as well. So to reference that background, I thought I'd build a little aqua store just with a bunch of tropical fish and bits and pieces. I don't know, it kind of looks pretty cool. Kind of fit the idea, and we built a fish on the front for the sign. Yeah. The only place that's left in Pog City is Ingots, which, you know, if you know anything about, I guess, Harry Potter, kind of references to Gringotts, the bank. So we can go with Ingots there. And then from there, we've got the vault. And the vault is actually using the reinforced deep slate that you'll see in ancient cities. Reinforced deep slate. And you know, because we cannot move those blocks, we just kind of repurpose them by putting a vault there. That actually used to be the entrance to underneath here, which I'll show you in a moment. And currently we've just got the dragon egg sitting there. That's not going to be the long-term home for the dragon egg, but, you know, it's good enough for now. Sitting in the vault, kind of just sitting there, looking pretty, with the slime block roof and some more power cords there as well. Ingots, the bank. We've also got underneath Ingots, which actually was our previous base for quite some time. So these walls were all chests, and we had chests everywhere. You'll see some still left there. Chests everywhere on the walls, and we've just been packing the shulker boxes up and moving those over. So we've still got some random bits and pieces to move over still. But yeah, that's actually used to be the vault. This door used to be closed, and we would have to fly through the vault and then come down through these stairs. But I ended up opening this up just because I was kind of sick of flying through the top every time, and put some diamond blocks there and made it look pretty nice as well. So I thought that was a pretty cool way to do it. We've got some axolotls in here. I think one's called Pip, and one's called Pop, I think, something like that. Some axolotls in just some little tanks. Again, under those frog lights is bedrock, so that the world doesn't go down any lower than that. We're pretty low down in the world. And I've got a hidden enchanting room, which apparently a lot of people didn't know. When the chests were there, you couldn't see any of this contraption. But a hidden enchanting room, apparently a lot of people didn't know I even had, which I would only use probably once every, I don't know, once a month or something, where we'd just do some random enchanting. In fact, it's actually still the location where I do enchanting, because I don't have an enchanting build to replace that yet that I'd like to do. But yeah, this is our old base. This was Pog City, Pog City Neon Hollows, whatever you want to call it. I think it kind of looks pretty cool. You see the Pog kind of sign there at the start. Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool, kind of nice. Yeah, in an ancient city, we've got a tunnel to fly up and out to the overworld if we ever want to. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Pog City. Alrighty, our next stop on the tour is probably going to be our Wither Skeleton Farm. Pog City took me about, I think it took us a little over 3 or 4 weeks to build, because we had to collect all the frog lights and stuff like that. I didn't have a frog light farm at the time, so I'm going to say about 4 weeks plus for the build on that. So this is our old Wither Skeleton Farm, and the reason why I say old Wither Skeleton Farm is because actually it's decommissioned. It doesn't work anymore. As of 1.19.2, Nether Portal light spawning Wither Skeletons don't spawn in there anymore. But basically, while the player stands at this location, we cleared a hole in the bedrock roof, which took me all day to do. Took me absolutely forever to do this, using Razeworks piston and TNT design. We cleared a hole in the roof and built this monstrosity, which is basically an area where wither skeletons used to be able to, and you still see some mobs spawning in there. I think it's only just blazes now or random bits and pieces like that. But not wither skeletons. No wither skeletons spawning in there anymore. Yeah, just blazes spawning there now, which we actually have a filter in the overworld to get rid of blazes and any other mob using a height filter, because wither skeletons are taller than the other mobs. So yeah, that's the bottom portion of it. They all go through the portals, and then I'll show you the overworld side in a minute. But yeah, they come pouring through here, and we attack them from here. I've got a lot of wither skeleton skulls in this world. I've got hundreds of them still left, and not to mention, I don't have it on me, but not to mention I've got a lot of beacons as well. So it got decommissioned in 1.19.2. And I'm kind of just, you know, like, it's not necessary to get it up and running again. I'm not hugely in a rush to get that going, because we've got hundreds of beacons, you know, just sitting in storage. So if I ever need beacons, I'll go back and, you know, look at that farm again. I'll show you guys the overworld portion of this farm we designed ourselves. It's actually a little bit laggy because of, you see there, the frames dropping. Because of the way the items are dealt with at the moment. So you see all of the zombie pigmen kind of just fall to their death. The zombie pigmen, skeletons, all that sort of stuff kind of just fall to their death at the moment. But basically what happens out here is, if I can go like this and show you guys, pretty much what happens out here is that all the mobs come through this portal, and they go over the ice and up the soul sand elevator. The soul sand elevator we built with a height that actually pretty much copied the 15-second cooldown, so that by the time the mobs come up through here and then they get washed along here, they were ready to go back through another portal as well. And we've actually got the area where these gates are. We've actually got a height filter. So this is exactly 2 blocks where I'm going through right now. Wither skeletons, or all the mobs, as you can see, the water direction goes diagonally. Wither skeletons kind of just go along this line like this, and then they hit the end and go through the portal. Whereas all the other mobs, blazes die in water, so they die before they even get to the top. Skeletons and zombie pigmen and all the other mobs kind of just fall out of here and hit that platform and die. Which does put loot everywhere, and I could probably recycle that and collect that if I wanted to. But I guess, you know, we built the gold farm separately later on, so probably not super necessary to go and get that anyway. But that is the overworld portion of the wither skeleton farm. A pretty good EXP source as well at the time. It served us pretty well. I'm going to sleep through the night again real quick, just so we can do this tour at the daytime for the most part. After this, we're going to the Froglight farm, which is just around the corner. As you can see, a little bit of lag there. There we go. Froglight farm, just around the corner. So this is our Froglight farm. This farm works really well. I didn't actually think it would work this well, but it's in a basalt delta biome, and when we stand up on that platform here, you can see all the magma slimes spawning in. For those that were wondering, I recently got FreeCam mod, and that allows me to show the viewers these farms running, because for a lot of time I knew how the farms looked when they were running, but it's really hard to show people how farms run. So yeah, I got the FreeCam mod to allow me to do that. The player stands up there. I cannot clip through blocks. I've turned that all off, so I cannot go through stuff, and I cannot interact with stuff with the cam. So it doesn't allow me to see through the floor or anything, but it just allows me to show you guys what's happening at any given time. So the magma slimes will go towards the iron golems. They won't be able to get them because obviously the cage is there as well. The iron golems do hit some of the magma slimes, so that'll actually break them down. But for those that don't get broken down straight away, they'll fall into the snow, and all the baby slimes will sit in the bottom here. We've got about 20 frogs, I think. that eat all of the baby magmas, and the hopper minecart picks all of the frog lights up and transports it into this system here to unload. This will unload a full hopper minecart in 0.8 of a second, which is very fast. And the way we do that is by, that's how fast it does a full hopper minecart, is by actually there's hopper minecarts in the concrete gravel, the concrete powder there, and they cause that unload to be super quick. It does mean if you sit at the farm for too long though, those hoppers will get backed up because hoppers don't move at that speed. So eventually hoppers will get backed up like that, but they do go through the item sorter, and that all works pretty well. This gives us 20,000 frog lights per hour, or 20,000 drops per hour, which most of those are frog lights. So we estimate about 6,000 or what's that, 100 stacks of each frog light per hour if we stand there, which, as I mentioned before, we don't do any AFKing, so pretty much just, 5 minutes there and we're pretty much done. Like the time we spent just there just now, we've already getting stacks and stacks and stacks of frog lights, so pretty cool. More frog lights than we could ever need in this world. Anyway, the next stop on the tour is our mob switch. Yes, I do have a mob switch. We don't use this all the time. We only really use this for cave exploring, and it only affects the overworld, and it turns itself off every time you exit the world. So every time I want to run the mob switch, I have to come in here and actually be in the same area as these mobs, which sound horrible, but whatever, it is what it is. But this is an active mob switch. It contains over 100 silverfish, which you can see the silverfish spawner there and the end portal frame behind it. It just washes them all over, and then they climb the scaffolding. Yeah, they're just kind of just chilling there so that they don't what is it, entity cram, that's it. So they don't entity cram. And pretty much to get this running, you go through the overworld, load in the mobs, go back into the nether, and then within 15 seconds you want to put an item through that, and it'll chuck it through the portal, and then you'll actually get it delivered back through. You see that? Delivered back through, and it kind of recycles that between the overworld and the nether. So for the rest of the tour, we wouldn't actually have a mob switch. We'd actually have a mob switch, which means that no mobs would spawn in the overworld, and it's quite an eerie feeling going along in caves and doing a little bit of ore exploration and having no mobs around. But it's kind of an eerie feeling. But I don't like to do it too often because it is a bit weird feeling, in ultra hardcore to have. In ultra hardcore to basically have no mobs around. It's kind of a bit much, but pretty cool to build nonetheless, and pretty eye-opening as to how how easy that was to build. So it's pretty easy to build and get running. I reckon now we'll loop them back around to District 21. District 21 is where we have pretty much all of our farms that I need in the world. This was my first perimeter, and actually my first real main base in the world, like real main base, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. Alrighty, here we are. So this is welcome to District 21. Obviously, always a work in progress. We've got so much going on here, which is absolutely phenomenal. But basically, the long story short of this build is that we are in the middle of an ocean. I found a mycelium island, or the mushroom island, and basically lived in a tree stump for quite some time. This tree stump here that you'll see above the top here, we lived in the tree stump. We built a tree stump and lived in that for I'm gonna say like 3 or 4 or 5, 600 hours. And this purple door was actually our old nether portal to go in and out of the nether. We've also got this door here made of copper, which has got a little bit of a story behind it. The copper for this door was waxed to prevent future aging at 372 hours in game. The reason why we done that at 372 hours is because that was my previous ultra hardcore record, and I kind of wanted to have a reference to that in this world as well. So yeah, we've got that door there kind of frozen in time at that point in time, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, I used to live inside this stump. You can actually see I've got a little shulker in here called Shulker Shane. Shulker Shane was obtained very legitimately, actually. We went into the end, which I'll show you the end build next. We went into the end and got a shulker. He was the first shulker that we ever got, I think, from the end, and brought him back. Shulker Shane. I wonder if we can see his name tag. Maybe not. Shulker Shane teleported there, and we just kind of left him there. When we were at our base, he wouldn't see us because he's kind of just too far away. And we used to have like just chests absolutely everywhere in here. This is Eddie Schaefer's lapis block. Again, like I said before, sometimes people say, hey, can you just put a block there for me? Or, you know, can you put something down for me? And I'll just do it if I'm really, you know, kind of feeling in the mood. And I'm not too swamped and busy, I'll just do it. So that's Eddie Schaefer's lapis lazuli block. You know, I just done that for him. So pretty easy. Eddie's been a long-term viewer of the stream, so why not? But yeah, we've got the tree stump and Crush the turtle. Actually, I kind of went over, kind of breezed past Crush, but Crush replaced the island when we made this perimeter to hold the tree stump up. So I just kind of extended the roots down over Crush. He's a flying turtle in reference to Finding Nemo, the Crush, because I'm from Australia. And, you know, people, I get that reference a little bit with people saying, hey, so you're from Australia, like, you know, Finding Nemo, Crush, you know, P. Sherman, Wallaby Way, Sydney, all that sort of stuff. So I built a flying turtle. He's heading from the east Australian current, I believe, as well, and he's heading west. But yeah, he's heading, he's going along the eastern Australian current is the kind of joke there. So District 21 has its own heartbeat as well, just like you've seen in the other worlds. Oh, and the heartbeat, the pattern for the heartbeat, for those who don't know, is actually the pattern for redstone. So this pattern that you see when you lay redstone in a line is the same pattern that the heartbeat is. So that's where we got the pattern for the heartbeat. It was just placing redstone, and yeah, I just copied that through with redstone lamps and using observers. So yeah, that's that little that's the reason why the heartbeat is that design in particular. Leads us to the middle here, where I've got automatic potion brewers, which generally work quite well. This middle area is a 3x3 chunk area as well, and actually has its own chunk loader down there. It's got its own chunk loader that, there you go, see it's running there with a gate. There we go. So has its own chunk loader, and that keeps this basically this 3x3 loaded in. So we always have heaps and heaps of potions going, and that sort of stuff as well, which is pretty cool. I'll show you the switchboard. We've got a switchboard here that can turn our farms on and off. So we've got a shulker farm here that we can turn on and off on demand. Yes, so we're actually 5,000 blocks away from spawn, and we went and got a shulker from the end, brought it into the overworld, and made a shulker farm in our perimeter so that we can have shulkers on tap in this world. So I can actually turn this switch on. For example, I think I might have to turn the gunpowder farm off, the creeper farm, which you can see running at full speed over there. I'll turn the creeper farm off to allow the shulkers to spawn, and we turn the shulker farm on. You'll see the piston throw that block over there in a minute. There we go, and the shulker farm is on. It'll drop a shulker down, and the snowmen will start throwing snowballs at it. And if we're lucky, there you go, you just saw one split, and you'll see the split one teleport into an area right on top here where it entity crams and entity crams in the minecarts, and then it'll die and drop there. So there's another one there. Yeah, so it works pretty well. We get quite a few. That's going to entity cram in that spot right there, and then the hopper minecart picks it up, and the dropper will drop those shells down and through the system. So we can turn that back off now, and that's just going to stop the next rotation. So there we go, one just died just then. So that's just turn that off. As the next shulker goes through the system in the minecart, it'll stop it there, ready to start it back up again. So that works pretty well. That gives us quite a lot of shulker shells in this world. And as you can see, we've got kind of like a network of water runways that they kind of transport the items to a central location. I do want to have, a completed area. Ideally would have all of this stuff coming up here and into the middle, where we probably have a wall here with an item sorter of some sort. Yeah, it's pretty cool little way to integrate the farms into a central location. I'll sleep through really quick. Alrighty, so the next, let's go like this. So yeah, the next farm that I'll show you guys is the cactus farm. Let me get over this. Yeet, there we go. The cactus farm, the bamboo farm, and the sugarcane farm. I kind of like to design farms on my own accord where I can. Although it's, 95% of the time uses techniques that you'll see in most, in most how-to tutorials for farms. I try and design these farms, myself, so that I can learn how they work first. So if I turn the gunpowder farm back on, you'll actually see, we can take a trip down, you'll actually see that running. Yeah, that does pretty well to spawn in a good amount of creepers here, because we are in a perimeter and nothing else can spawn anywhere around nearby. And that just means we just get a good amount of gunpowder from that. So you see all the gunpowder coming through. The creepers fall down. They go underneath the trapdoors and into the lava. But they only just touch the lava because there's walls here. And that means that all the gunpowder drops down. Because if we had a lava block there, then half of the gunpowder would get burnt. We don't want that. So it does pretty well while we stand there. You can see the gunpowder is just kind of flowing through. The only way we could probably make that better is by having a looting killing chamber. But, it kind of does its thing. It runs pretty well. And we get the occasional glow squid ink from that as well, which is pretty cool. But runs pretty well. And then, yeah, we'll get all the gunpowder going up and vertically up into the chests that we can collect it with. Just like that. So that's yeah, those chests will be full, no doubt. If I go down there and check them, they're going to be absolutely chockers full. Which we can go down through here, little hole in the floor. And yeah, so we've got quite a lot there, just kind of accumulating. I take gunpowder out of that fairly often, and making rockets and TNT. Recently we had a big TNT explosion, which I'll show you the site, because I know a lot of people want to see the site of that TNT explosion. I haven't shown you guys publicly yet, and I was waiting for the world tour to show you guys that. So we will be stopping in and seeing that shortly. Gunpowder farm, I just like to leave that running, basically, so that whenever I do come to the perimeter and do some work around here, we've just got gunpowder flowing in, so that's pretty cool. Cobblestone generator. This is a cobblestone generator. It's 250,000 cobblestone per hour. Basically, it's a TNT fed. It doesn't have a TNT duper on it. We feed the TNT in manually. We create the TNT. Yeah, and then we get 250,000 cobblestone an hour, which sounds fantastic, but then you kind of have the problem of smelting 250,000 cobblestone per hour. And this is in true form. This is kind of how my content runs. We made this to get a lot of cobblestone, and then I was like, holy, hold up, I need to smelt all of this cobblestone for stone, right? And or smooth stone. So then you see we've got this thing here, and this is called Moss Boss. Moss Boss is basically it's a four bay 2-layer, so it's 8 moss farms all joined together. We've only got one bay running right now, like just that one top one running, because when it's all running, it's quite cumbersome in terms of like how much it produces. But what it actually does is it produces azalea saplings, and we use those for fuel. So azalea saplings are actually a pretty good source of fuel. It drops that down, sorts the items out, drops it down into this little hopper minecart, and that will actually go along these furnaces. 64 furnace array, and feed that in, and that's a pretty good source of fuel. Just the azalea saplings and flowering azalea saplings alone will do about half, so about 30 of the furnaces running full stop. But to get the rest of them running, because we want 64 running full stop, we actually get all of the rest of the moss and the moss carpet and seeds and stuff, and we feed it through this guy, which is actually a large composter machine that we built ourselves as well. So we found out that you can actually put dispensers into composters to speed them up. So this is a really cool system where all the moss goes into composters. We've got composters on top to prevent the lag of those hoppers, but it actually goes into another row of composters, there we go, down below, and that produces bone meal. All of the bone meal goes into this little spot here and grows bamboo. And if you know anything about bamboo, is we get lots of bamboo from this. This 4-module bamboo farm produces 85,000 bamboo an hour. Just this 4, which is I think actually like even more than that big farm over there, because it's bone mealing the bamboo. It produces it very, very fast. We will fire this off in just a moment. I'll show you guys how fast it can actually run. Yeah, and then the bamboo actually go through into the same system as the fuel and yeah, flowering azaleas and bits and pieces as well. So yeah, well, it runs pretty well. I will fire this off and I'll show you guys how quickly it can cook. We'll see if we've got a stack of something to cook, most likely. Oh yeah, here we go. So let's do like 3, we'll do 4 stacks. Pretty cool little setup. We've got a dispenser full of chest minecarts as of a recent update. Chest minecarts now dispense as a whole, and they break into their whole chest cart as well. They don't separate, and so we decided to use that mechanic in this, so we can fill this up 4 stacks, and then once we're done, once we've filled up all the stuff that we want to smelt, we send this off just like this. And what you'll actually notice is the chest cart will fall down, and it'll come out through this kind of wire that I've got out here, and it'll go all the way over, up, and start feeding the furnaces. And those furnaces should already have fuel in them, so that'll smell that pretty quickly. And I've got a little checker system here. Basically, if there's stuff still left in this furnace, in this chest, it'll loop it around. When there's nothing left in there, it'll send it back home, right? So that should loop around 4 times to do 4 stacks, and then it'll send it back to where we are. You can see we're already getting stuff coming out of this. It does smelt stuff pretty quickly as well. So if we go to the return chamber, which is here, yeah, you can see we're getting a pretty fast amount of items, which is actually pretty cool. So we get those returned to us pretty quickly. Yeah, not too bad. It's just good for smelting stuff really quickly in a pinch. I'll show you guys the Moss Boss turning Moss Boss on as well, which is going to be that one. So we'll turn Moss Boss on now, and you'll see that actually running through. The bit that won't run is all of those other farms, but yeah, it's going to run this one here. And even just with a 1 out of 8 module running, you can see we get quite a lot of moss coming down. I'll turn the hitboxes on so you can see it all. Heaps of moss coming down. That's just 1 out of 8 modules running. And then that fuels all of our, that puts all of our fuel in. So just using straight moss pretty much, which is pretty cool. It does a fantastic job actually. And then goes from there. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool setup. Not too bad at all. I've got the bamboo portion turned off currently, just because we don't really need that. We don't really need that running right now. But yeah, that'll restock it all. So we've got plenty of fuel, and that's called the Moss Boss. Chat called that Moss Boss somewhere along the lines. When they're all running, it's like I get like 10 frames a second. So yeah, it's really crazy. The stump, above the stump, we've got the lightning rods, which I didn't show you guys before. Lightning rods above the stump here. These actually are 1 in every chunk. I don't know where someone told me, but someone told me somewhere along the line that you need 1 in every chunk to prevent lightning striking the stump. And we actually had lightning strike the stump a couple of times and kind of nearly burned the whole thing down. So you see some random patches missing here and there. And so to prevent that, I put in some lightning rods so that you cannot really see. And we don't get lightning striking it anymore, which is fantastic. Okay, so that's District 21, pretty much all done and dusted. We can go from there over to... I'll make sure I turn this shulker farm off. Otherwise, we lose the farm. Yep, we're good. Excellent. So we head out to our end build. Let's head out to do that. This is our end build called the Mind Flayer. So the Mind Flayer was built at a time that I really wanted to do an end build in this world. There we go. I really wanted to do an end build in this world, and I took pretty good inspiration from Stranger Things at the time. We were watching the series Stranger Things, and so without further ado, I present to you guys the Mind Flayer. This is 35,000 black terracotta that we mined and dyed and placed. This was probably one of my first, if not the first, real big build of my world. And it's actually the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things, if you've seen that. And it's actually overlooking Victor Creel's house as well. Victor Creel's house from the series Stranger Things, which I'll go up and show you a bit closer. Victor Creel's mansion, it is called, actually. But yeah, the Mind Flayer is super cool. An absolutely massive build. Again, we just have like a little walkway going up to it, but you don't really notice the caliber of it until you get underneath it, and that's what it's portrayed as in the series. It's portrayed as just this huge overreaching character. So very cool. But yeah, it's huge. It's actually huge. Like when you look at the overall size of it, like we're up at like 220 blocks tall at the moment. It's just a big organic build. I've never really built organic before, so this is pretty new for me. We had to remove one of the obsidian pillars at the front here, just so we can walk up to the front of it. I did plan on removing all the other obsidian pillars, but when I removed the front one and saw how long that took, I just abandoned that idea and left all the other ones. So this is Victor Creel's mansion. Oh, something I should say is we killed the dragon. What is it? 22 times or 21 times? Killed the dragon 21 times before we built this, so that we have all of these end gate portals already loaded in. So that's super cool. Victor Creel's mansion, really cool. using warped wood. It's hollow inside it. As I go around inside, you actually see it's hollow inside. We actually haven't done anything inside it. We could probably put something there. If you guys have a suggestion on what I should put in here, let me know. But I tried to copy Victor Creel's mansion to a T. We got as many pictures as we could, real estate pictures and listings and stuff like that, and I tried to copy it as much as I could in the overall design. And I think I done pretty well. I think it didn't turn out too bad after all. So pretty happy with that. That is Victor Creel's, Victor Creel's mansion and the Mind Flayer build. So hopefully you enjoy that. Super cool. Alrighty, so from there we can go to show you guys some aspects in the nether. I've got some things in the nether that I would like to show you guys. Let me just restock up on fireworks real quick. It's always good to have a shulker box full of fireworks on you as well. Make sure our wings are good, and I will carry some fire resistance as well. Being ultra hardcore, guys, you want to be pretty safe with this sort of stuff, so I like to use fire resistance whenever I go into the nether. If I fall in lava in ultra hardcore, I'll die in pretty much an instant, so without fire resistance, so it's pretty important that I actually have fire resistance on. A couple of key points to show you guys in the nether. There we go. A couple of key points to show you guys in the nether. The first stop is going to be our wither farm. We actually don't use this wither farm anymore, and that's purely for the reason that the wither skeleton farm gave us hundreds and hundreds of wither skelly heads, and we used this farm one time for 10 minutes and then never needed it again. So really, really cool. The way it works is by basically you stand here, the player stands here, and we place soul sand. We go up and preload it with wither skeleton heads up here. It's a pretty manual system, but it still works really quickly. So these dispensers, you preload those with wither skeleton heads, and then you stand over here and you turn it on. Basically you stand here and place soul sand. The chest cart goes up and will collect all the nether stars. But we ran this one time for 10 minutes and we had enough beacons, enough nether stars. I think we ended up getting 140 nether stars in 10 minutes. So absolutely crazy amount. And then and then you just open up the chest and there was literally like 3 stacks of nether stars there. And we never used it again. We built it once, ran it, and never used it again. If we ever need to, we can. But it's just faster than defeating the wither one at a time and under the end portal and all that nonsense. You know, we just want to speed things up a little bit. So if we ever need nether stars, we can have pretty fast access to those. All right, the next point of interest is going to be we've got a couple of things to show you. The original Froglight farm. I'll show you guys that now. A stairway that chat reminds me every time I go down it that I need to clear that out and do a proper stairway. So this is our original Froglight farm that we made in the bottom of a bastion. Pretty cool little setup. I used to come here and stand here and eat lunch with chat. While I was eating lunch, the Froglight farm would run and would get a pretty good... Where's that ghast? We'd get a pretty good amount of Froglights. There was a magma spawner there, and since we've actually since closed it all... There he is over there. Look at this. Got him. I've actually since closed it all off now. It doesn't run anymore. We moved the frogs into our new Froglight farm. But yeah, it was a pretty cool system. Didn't run too bad, but only gave us like 600 Froglights in like 10 minutes or something. So the rates weren't horrible, but you know, they weren't really like, you know, they weren't Zuchii rates, and Zuchii rates is like, you know, I want 25,000 in 10 minutes, you know, like I want pretty good farms. So I don't mind building bigger farms. If I only have to use them like once ever, I'll do that, and just have a really cool OP farm design. From there, I'm going to show you guys something that no one has seen in this world tour yet, or no one has seen in the world yet, and that is the location of our recently exploded over 8,000 TNT, and this is actually the location for it. Let me go right here. Here it is. So 8,000 TNT. It was 130 stacks of TNT, which I think ended up being about 5 shulker boxes, just under 4.5 shulker boxes of TNT that we used. I'll make sure that I've got fire resistance here, and yeah, basically it's just this massive hole. I'll show you guys. I'll fly around. It's this massive spaghetti network of tunnels and just chaos. It just created so much drama. If you guys want to see the TNT explosion video, there was an ender chest back there. If you guys want to see that video, I'll put a link to it in the got it. If you want to see that video, I'll put a link to it in the description, and you can go through and see that. But yeah, just an absolutely massive explosion, which it all exploded at once. Actually, you know, a little bit of a spoiler, it exploded at once prematurely before we were ready for it, and I thought I was about to lose the world. So that was pretty scary, and something that I never want to do again. We got about 150 ancient debris from it, and just go, like, these tunnels just go forever, you know what I mean? They just keep on going, but so much lava and bits and pieces. But yeah, it was absolutely crazy moment. Actually, funnily enough, the computer didn't even hesitate. Like, I didn't really get any lag at all. I got more lag from all the lava flowing than anything else. But yeah, we got about 150 ancient debris and set off about 8,000 TNT at once. But if you want to see that video, do !TNT in chat if you're watching live, and you'll get a link to that video. But yeah, that is the hole. That is the site for this monstrosity of a little objective that we had with chat together. That was a donation, like a TNT-a-thon, where the more they donated, the more TNT I exploded at once. And yeah, 8,000 TNT later. It was quite a lot. Very scary. Oh, while I'm out there, I'm going to show you guys my old slime farm. We can show you that as well. So this is the location of my old slime farm. I don't have a slime farm currently in this world, and there's a reason for that. But this is the location of my old slime farm. Basically, it's just a big swamp area that we super flatted, and I stand all the way up here like this, and slimes spawn in below, and then we jump down and slay them. Works pretty well, not too bad, but we just don't come out here anymore because we don't really need to. We have we had another slime farm that ran so efficiently. I've probably got 20 shulkers of slime that I'll never use in this world, and we don't need any more slime. So nothing real much to see here, but just a super flat area. Maybe I could build something here one day. We'll see. Alrighty, so next spot on the list is going to be, let's have a look, Aurora Spires. Oh my gosh. So we haven't even gone to Aurora Spires yet. Aurora Spires was our first big build in this world. First big decorative build, and something that I do want to show you guys, I do want to share with you guys as well. Aurora Spires build, holy smokes. That is actually a wild build for those that have seen it. Okay, so we'll just go up here real quick. Finding all my old ender chests on the way. I'm actually picking them up as well as I'm going. So, you know, I like to keep a few ender chests on me at any given time. Might as well. I mean, if they're just laying there anyway, I might as well grab them. So this is Aurora Spires. That's the portal that we went past earlier. That I said that we'll come back and I'll show you guys. Quite a ways out there. Aurora Spires is probably one of the furthest builds away out of everything. Like I said earlier, I do like to use a lot of rockets. I don't really, you know, I've got the farms for it, so you know, why not? Alrighty, so this is the portal for Aurora Spires. Basically, you get a hint at what the build is before we go through it. Stone, lush cave, mangrove, bit of ice there. Have a picture in your head of what you think it's going to look like, and then times it by 100. Because this is, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, this is Aurora Spires. So Aurora Spires was built atop a mountaintop, and we found this mountaintop fairly early on in this world when I was exploring with my wings. And yeah, I don't know, I just kind of found this really cool location. This is the home to Spirit Fox, which I'll show you guys Spirit Fox in a minute. Looks really cool at night. I'm going to sleep through, but it looks equally as good during the day as well. We built this build at around 360 hours in game. So that's where we're getting back to those first few months now of gameplay of this world. I think this is around June last year, June or July, that we built this. So it's a big bridge with the heartbeat of the world going through it, up through the middle there. A big bridge. We've got a big sort of archway under the bridge there. And yeah, all the ice was here naturally. We put some mangrove trees. Mangrove trees actually came out pretty much just as we were finishing this build up. So I decided to use those to decorate, and it worked so well. They just, the way that it kind of just kind of blended in with the mountains, I was really happy with that as well. I tried my hand at the top here that you'll see. I tried my hand on doing some gradients. These are my first ever gradients that I tried to do with copper. I'm not great at gradients. I kind of struggle with gradients at times. Kind of like these weird, you know, sort of color blending schemes. I'm not great with them in my opinion, but I think it looks okay. You know, it looks good enough anyway. So most people are pretty impressed by it. I'll show you through into the main hall at Aurora Spires. This is the main front of it here. And as we go through, it was originally built, which is funny enough, originally built to be our base in this world. And it would have made a really good base. This is a mountain. We hollowed it all out. Would have made a really good base. But then I found a little character called Spirit Fox. And Spirit Fox is a little winter wolf that basically ran up to us one day, and I couldn't ignore it. I had to do something about it. So Spirit Fox is is kind of like the backbone of this world, I guess you could say. Spirit Fox has a trident of positivity, good vibes, and kindness. And whenever we need to make a decision in this world, we give Spirit Fox 2 papers, or as many papers as we need, and we press the button. Whatever paper comes out is the decision that's made. Recently, that was the decision of Pioneer Peaks, which was the build at the start of the world tour that we're currently building. It was potentially going to be called Founders Falls, but Spirit Fox said, no, I want it to be called Pioneer Peaks, because that's the paper that came out. So, very cool. We've also got a Book of Wisdom at the back here as well. Book of Wisdom is basically the thoughts accumulated throughout the journey of Ultra Hardcore Redemption. So anytime we get like someone have a really cool saying or anything like that in chat, we kind of just stop what we're doing and come out here and put that in. What Peter says about Paul, says more about Peter than it does about Paul. That was a really good saying. Misery loves company. Like, just all of these. That was Pog. Obviously, we were building Pogs. Anyway, yeah, this just all sayings that you know. I don't know. All sayings that kind of mean something at some point. We dabbled on actually creating this into a real book at some level in the future. I don't really know. I'd be down for it. I think it'd be really, really cool to put all of these sayings on a poster or something. But yeah, really cool. You miss 100% of the shots you do not take. I won't go through all of them. There's 46 of them. We'll stop at a random one. Just go live. Yeah, that's my advice for anyone that wants to start streaming. Is just go live. Just press the live button and go live for the first time. It's always going to be worth it. So yeah, just go live. But yeah, that's our Book of Wisdom. We always add to that, which is really cool. Throne of Spirit Fox. Just some mangrove wood that we've got here. Super cool. Aurora Spires, the Hanging Gardens, and the Ice Mountain. But there's also a little bit of an Easter egg with this build as well, which a lot of people don't probably know about, and that is that it's actually built above a lush cave that we found in this mountain. You can go underneath through the sewer system, and this cave just goes forever. So if you ever wanted to come down here and get some clay or any, you know, any moss or like anything, I don't know, anything like that, you can come down here. We recently came down here and done some axolotl gathering, I guess you could say, looking for the elusive blue axolotl. We still don't have one in this world, but maybe one day we'll get one. So yeah, that's the entry into that, and yeah, that is Aurora Spires. Pretty cool build. It took me about a month to build. Like most builds, generally take me about a month to complete. And this was actually the inspiration for the cobblestone generator, because I ran out of stone. I used all of my world's stone just building this one thing. So pretty crazy actually. Alrighty, so the only thing we have left is, after Aurora Spires, is going to be Cassidy-Caca, which quite literally translates into House of Pup, or Pup House, which I'll show you guys now. So when we came over and I showed you guys commemorative caverns, I said that there was commemorative caverns was built underneath the first build in our world, our first home in the world. So Cassidy-Caca is actually above commemorative caverns, which is nothing but a small little acacia village that originally just, you know, we built this house, and the reason why it's called Cassidy-Caca is House of Pup is basically because it is probably one of the ugliest houses that you have ever seen. Built very, very early, very primitive in this world. I built that probably in the first day or two, because this is running distance from spawn, which we'll go to next. But yeah, just a janky setup, like with a trapdoor and a door. I don't know what I was thinking. There's not even a block there, so baby zombies would just run in, and it was just, you know, like, you know, when you just do some things that you just shake your head later on, you're like, what was I thinking? You know, the roof doesn't even close in, and it's short here, and different color blocks. But I think that's what makes the theme of Cassidy-Caca, you know, the fact that it's just so crappily built. It's almost hilarious, you know what I mean? So Cassidy-Caca and the village surrounding, really, yeah, just a really cool little area. We've also got a neighboring village over here. So a neighboring village over here, and that's where we had our initial librarian. For those that do know, and I guess for those that do watch the stream, I actually don't have a villager trading hall. Villager trading is something that I don't dabble in on a huge level. Not for any other reason apart from I just try and get a little bit more creative with the way that I gather my enchantments and bits and pieces. The only villager trading I have is in the shack, and the shack consists of 4 fletchers that I trade tripwire hooks with, and they give me emeralds, and everything is happy, you know. 4 of those guys, and we've got Noel's Dungeon out here, stream moderator Noel, kind of a little Easter egg again. Noel's Dungeon with his days inside counter, and we just trade with this guy for mending. That's pretty much it. We don't really get anything else off him. We could probably get some glass. I didn't even know that I had that, and name tags and stuff, but we just use him for mending and books for mostly for actually the shrines now. As people upgrade their gear to enchanted netherite, they all the enchants are actually mending. So anytime you see an enchanted shrine, all the enchantments on these things are all just mending enchantment. I don't run them through a full table or anything like that, because it would just be too expensive for me. But yeah, just mending on their armor sets, and looks pretty cool. Not too bad at all. So that's Casa de Caca, and then from there I'm going to show you guys where we're wrapping things up a little bit. From there I'm going to show you guys our first tree, which I think is a super cool thing that we've got. So early on in our journey, actually we are really nearby spawn now. I think spawn's actually just over there. Early on in our journey, I looked back on the footage in the first hour, because I've got the first hour like hard recorded. I don't record all of my footage, but I do have the first hour because I thought that was pretty important to record. Early on in our footage, I look back, and this is actually the first tree that we punched. So we punched the tree, made some planks, and for some reason I put in a dirt block and then one of the planks. I don't know why, but you know, that's what we done. So recently I came back and yeah, we timestamped that with the sign that I put down recently. 17 minutes and 43 seconds into this world, which is actually really early on. You know, because we just done a lot of like running around and exploring. All right, so and then the next spot from there is actually these tunnels. So I punched the trees, and I'll show you this. Sorry guys, just had to sneeze real quick. Alright, so yeah, the next thing from that tree, we ran straight into these tunnels over the wrong tunnels. The wrong number, psych! Oh, these tunnels over here. So we ran into these tunnels after that tree, and I'm going to sleep through in a minute because I don't want it to be nighttime, because I don't want all these mobs to come out and give us a hard time. But yeah, ran into these tunnels, and we made a bunch of torches. These are the original torches that I placed down. I mined out a coal vein here, and we put down a furnace. My first furnace and my first crafting table, I believe, was right here. So I do actually, I have thought about actually turning this into somewhat of an archaeological dig site, maybe later on, where we actually kind of, you know, like present it like a, you know what I mean, like we've unearthed the roots of this world. I think that'd be really cool to kind of do. But recently, when we were coming back and doing this, we actually also found this cool little zombie. So this little zombie is probably one of the earliest entities that we have in this world. And the reason why this zombie is so special is because when we did come back to do that tree, and then we found this tunnel system and stuff like that, there was a zombie running around with a rotten flesh, and zombies don't spawn in naturally with rotten flesh. That doesn't happen naturally. So that must have been one of the original zombies when I was in this tunnel, and he's picked up a rotten flesh and has just never despawned. So for those that know, when a zombie or any mob picks up an item, it doesn't despawn. So a really cool thing is this is actually the first known entity in this world. Apart from me, the first known entity that we basically, the earliest ancestor that we could find, he would be anywhere from about 18 to 25 minutes old. Coming from that tree at 17 minutes. Yeah, be anywhere from 18 to 25 minutes old. So absolutely crazy. When we're at 1,474 hours now, to think that zombie has been there for the last 1,474 hours and 20 minutes. So just chilling, which is pretty crazy. And then we go to spawn. So we ran pretty much this way. Chat does want me to do somewhere along the line. Chat does want me to do like a pathway in the ground of where I ran from spawn. I would love to do that. I think that'd be really, really cool to do like a pathway that I initially ran. Which, funnily enough, I ran past trees. I ran past trees to get to that tree, but you know, whatever. So yeah, that's the first tree, and from there, this is actually spawn right here. And the reason why this area looks like this, literally here. The reason why this area looks like this is because I cleared it out for our shulker. We brought our shulker back through the end, and when you push a shulker through the end fountain, they appear at spawn. So we had to collect it from there and use a rail system. It was a long process, and I never want to do it again. And transport it 5,000 blocks in the overworld to our now location. The netherrack that you see around the area is the spawn chunks. Because we actually wanted to mark out where the spawn chunks are in this world as well. So I did do that by just using the netherrack. Pretty easy technique to do. Basically, to mark out spawn chunks, you just throw a bunch of items on the ground, run away, and then you come back, and then there's a line on where they stop, where they've despawned, and then that's where you mark out that chunk line. So that's a pretty easy system to follow. Looks like we've lost some trees here due to fire. Didn't even know about that. But yeah, I try and keep everything out of my spawn chunks. I try not to have anything built in spawn chunks, because spawn chunks are loaded everywhere in the world, no matter where you are, and I don't want to have villages, pillages, or, you know, iron farms that are here. Although that would run very, very effectively, I don't want to have them kind of just running in the background all the time and have to pay the toll of lag that I cannot turn off. You know what I mean? So it's running all the time. That's pretty much it. That's the world tour. We've pretty much come to the end now. Thank you very much for joining us. Probably left some things out, woodland mansions, or you know, things like that. I've got 4 woodland mansions now, and 1 is unlooted. So we will have to loot that sometime in the future. As I was saying earlier, I only get totems from woodland mansions, so yeah, it's the only way that I get totems in this world. I don't have a stacking raid farm or anything like that. Plus some other random structures that I'm sure I forgot. All in all, chat, thank you very much for watching. Here's hoping that this year I can deliver a 10,000 day world tour with a lot more completed builds and some pretty cool finished farms as well. A big thanks to those specifically that have moved over to YouTube recently as well. I made the decision in March to come and stream on YouTube full time, and it's been nothing short of amazing. We've met some huge creators in this space already. Very, very large opportunities already, which you guys will find out about shortly, and heaps of new subscribers already too, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for watching my 6,000 day ultra hardcore world tour. Be kind to one another. My name is Zuchii, that Australian Minecrafter, right here on YouTube Gaming. Take care, and I will see you all in the next one. Chat.